So today, this afternoon, we are with James Ashford from GoProposal. We're going to spend some time looking at the software, and then, as always, we're going to open up the session for your Q&As, your questions and answers. If you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you should have a share screen button that's normally green. If you look to the left of that, there should be a chat button. If you click that, then the chat appears on the right-hand side. As we talk today, I should be posting a couple of things in there and a URL in order for you to get some more support from James as we go through. If you post any questions in there, I will gladly ask them, but that place is a little bit more difficult for me. The best place to post the questions is in the Q&A. So if you look a bit further along your bottom bar, you'll see a Q&A and two little tiny speech bubbles. If you press that button, it'll give you the opportunity to ask any questions, and obviously I will ask those of James as we go through. Hello, Jeff. Hello. So if you can post them in there, and I will ask them as we go along. So if you was on the float demonstration last week, you'll have seen it work really, really well. There was some specific questions, some testing questions for Jen that she managed to answer excellently. But it's your insights, the things that you are thinking about or want the answers to, that's where the real gold. So we can talk, and James can obviously share what he thinks you need to know. But if you ask the questions that you really want to know, then often other people on the webinar are thinking the same questions as what you are as well. But you actually get the real information that you want rather than what we think you want. And I've also obviously got the questions that you came up with as you've registered for the event today. So use the chat box and use the Q&A box, and I will ask those questions as and when they come up. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. James Ashford. If you'd like to turn your camera on, James, that would be great. I've known James for, well, seems like years now. I have a huge amount of respect for James. I love the philosophy, his culture, his challenges to me as an individual and the profession. So I know that we are going to get a huge amount of value from this, 57 minutes that we've got left now with James. We've promised to wrap up at 3 o'clock. However, James has said that if there's still questions coming and we've not gone through all the questions on the registration sheet, then he will gladly continue until everybody has got all of the information that they need. It definitely won't go any further than 15:30 though, because I've promised the kids they can have Netflix and YouTube and whatnot back on at 3:30. So that is the definite cutoff line. But we will finish and wrap up at 3 o'clock, and then, as I say, answer any questions that anybody else has got. So without further ado, can I please give a warm welcome, and I'll do the clap, James, in order to make you feel a little bit more at home. Can give a warm welcome to James Ashford from GoProposal.
Thank you, Simon. That's very kind of you. You hear me okay, yeah? You're all good?
Perfect, James.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for that. So I'm just going to give you a bit of background first. You can kind of understand how we've got to the conclusion that we have with GoProposal. And like I say, like Simon said, I'm going to try and make today's session as useful for you as possible. So my first business I set up was a marketing agency. And one of the challenges I had with that, or one of the real frustrations I had, was you'd kind of sit with a client and you'd go through the things that they needed from you. And then you'd say to them, right, I'll send you a proposal. And it was always by close of play on Friday. I don't know why that was kind of the magical time. I'll get your proposal over by close of play on Friday. I'll send you that through. And then things would always kind of get in the way, you know, work, etc. And it would always take you a little bit longer than you thought. So you may end up sending it out late. It would always be a bit rushed at the end. But the bit that used to really irk me was the fact that you'd have to send it out with your fingers crossed. Like, I hope this lands roughly in the ballpark that they're thinking of. I hope they understand everything that's I'm including in the proposal. And I just used to really hate that there was a lot to chance. So I developed a piece of software that enabled me to sit with a client whilst I was with them and to present the services they needed, to discuss them if they didn't understand any of them, and to show them the price. Because my view was, you've kind of got to have that question anyway. They've got to kind of be able to challenge you on it. They've got to be able to ask questions about the price, and they're either going to do it while they're with me, or they're going to do it a week or two later while I'm trying to catch them on the phone while they're coming in and out of meetings, or they're picking the kids up from school or whatever. And it just made much more sense to me to do it while I was with them. So I developed that for myself, my own business, and didn't really think anything more of it. And then as we kind of got clients in for the marketing agency, I would invariably ask them about their business and what challenges they've got. And it seemed that lots of businesses had this same challenge about how they agree either fees up front with the client or renewals, etc., with the client as well. So it ended up meandering through various businesses, from plasterers to landscape gardeners to various things. And then I eventually met Paul Barnes from my accountancy place. And we met through an event, and we'd met a few times, and we started to really get to know each other's business a lot more. And at the time, I was looking for an accountancy firm for my business myself. So I made the trek from Doncaster, which is where I live and where I am now, to Manchester, which is a couple of hours away on the train, and got there and went to see him. And what I loved about MAP, my accountancy place, was, and Paul, is he just had a real deep understanding of my business. He really asked me the questions. He really got under the skin of things. And he had this really elaborate spreadsheet with all of the services and all the prices in there. And if I wanted something, he wasn't afraid to add it on, and I could kind of see the price racking up. And my current accountant was charging me around £200 a month. And by the time I got to the end of the meeting with Paul, the price was around £600 a month. And it was just great. I really felt that the value was worth it. So I got to the end of the meeting and I said, look, where do I sign? And he said, oh, it doesn't work like that. We have to take these numbers from this spreadsheet. We put them in our letter of engagement software. We'll send that through to you, etc. And you sign that. So I kept checking my inbox, and I got back home to Doncaster, and my wife said, how did it go? I said, oh, it's amazing. They're a great firm, great understanding. Then she said the question, how much is it going to cost? I said, £600 a month. She says, oh my goodness, what are we getting for that? I'm like, I have no idea, but it sounded brilliant. And she challenged me on it. She said it seemed like a lot. She made me speak to other business owners, which I did. They thought it was a lot because obviously typically businesses underinvest in the finance function of their business. And I ended up talking myself out of it. And we went backwards and forwards with Paul and myself, and we removed a few things from the proposal. And a few weeks later, I ended up signing the proposal, and we started to work together. But I said, I'd really like to talk to you about the experience I've had so far. And he was really open to that. And what I love about Paul is he's just really egoless. He just kind of wants to know how to become better, right, all the time. And I said, look, you said to me you're a digital expert. You've said to me you're going to save me time. It's on your website, right? And the first things you've done is you've not demonstrated any digital expertise, because it's taken you like 3 days to get me a proposal. And you've wasted all this time because we've been backwards and forwards. So you've kind of broken your promises to start with. And I said, look, I've developed some software that can solve this for you. And we implemented it into the business, worked really well. And then another accountancy firm found out about it and said, we want what you've got. And at that point, GoProposal was born. Off the back of that, Paul made me a director of the accountancy firm, and I made Paul the director of GoProposal. So I had a very, accomplished entrepreneurial accountant in my corner, making sure that everything that we were doing was right and on track. And I was able to challenge Paul on the other systems within the business, and have since helped my accountancy place, or MAP as it's now known, to grow. Just to give you a bit of background about our firm, we have a specific niche of digital creative agencies. We have £1 million revenue, which we get from just over 130 clients. Our average fees are around £833 a month, I think, or something like that. And, people always say that like compliance is dead. It's all about advisory. Compliance work is our most profitable work that we do, because we're profitable in the way that we charge for it, and we manage the scope very well. And that's fundamentally what GoProposal does. It manages the fee consistently across every service. If somebody wants something, they're going to pay for it, and it manages the scope. And what that's meant is that in these current times, when maybe some clients have cut back on certain advisory services and other clients have got additional demands around the compliance and payroll and bookkeeping, we're still profitable in those areas. We have more than got our head above water. We are growing through these times. Last week, we signed a new client with £27,000 worth of fees with one client. And that's what we're seeing with our GoProposal members, is that they're in a strong position now. They are growing through these times because what we've helped them to do is to protect themselves with those margins and effectively storm-proof their business so they can continue to provide high levels of support and grow through this period as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to explain and share with you the GoProposal experience. I'm going to give you kind of a background of how to set it up and a few key things there, and then I'm going to answer all of your questions. So I'm just going to dive in here and share my screen. Like Simon said, please fire any questions you want in there, and I'll answer everything. I'm not afraid of answering any question. I'll just give it honestly and explain. And as I always say about what we're doing in our firm, I'm not saying we've got all the answers and that we're perfect, but we have got a few things right, and I'm always willing to share those. So as helpful as I can be on this call, I will be. So this is GoProposal, and I designed it not only from an accountant's point of view, but from my point of view, from a client's point of view as well, because it needs to kind of straddle both camps. So this was all about how do we create that great client experience when you first sat with a client, because experiences change the way that people feel. And people will remember how you made them feel long after they've forgotten the services that you provided them with and what you've done for them, right? So experiences are fundamental. So the idea was that we could sit with a client, we could put in what their annual revenue is, what their start date is, what their end date is, and then we can go through and agree the services and the level of service that that client's going to need from us. And just so you understand where GoProposal would typically fit in a proposal meeting, before that, you would have gone through a consultative process. We have 4 specific key questions that we take a client through to make sure that we're really discovering what the client's challenges are, what the problems are, etc. And we have a very specific consultative methodology to ensure that by the time we get to this point, this is a very succinct process and the client fully understands all of the value that we're including in here. So we'd go through our bookkeeping services, we would put in the number of staff that they have, etc. Any compliance services they've got and what levels of service they've got. And obviously all of this is completely configurable. This is just our setup in here. And all of your software that you're going to be providing to this client as well. And then at that point, the idea is that whilst we're sat with them, I can then show them what that fee is. But the beauty about this is because I've done it with them, because we've done it collaboratively, because we've been through this process, they understand how this proposal has been built up. So I'm not just dropping it on them. They've got to understand why the fee is what it is. Now, you can show them a breakdown of this if you want. You can give as much clarity and transparency as you want to. If you don't want to kind of break things down on a service by service basis, that's entirely up to you. And what you may do, for example, is you may show a price for a section instead, such as what all the compliance services cost. That's entirely up to you, or the same with software, for example. But the reason why we designed it the way we did was that if you get to that question where they say, well, that's just too much, I don't want to spend that much, not a problem. What do you want to take out? And that's it. So one of the phrases that people use about GoProposal is that it becomes your shield in the pricing conversation. It's not you saying what the price is, it's the system saying what the price is. And that's why we've got this very clear systemized approach. So what we can now do is we can go back through and we can say, well, let's take monthly management accounts out, but I'm going to put it on your roadmap as something for you to consider, because I'm going to really, I believe that you're going to need that at some point. And we can go through any of these other things. Let's say they'd selected a weekly service. We could have moved this back to a monthly service or something like that. And the idea is that we can recalculate. And if they wanted to get it under £500 or whatever, then we can get to that point where we can agree the fee. Now, what you can do within GoProposal is you can set a monthly minimum fee in here, which I think in this system it's £150. So to my mind, we're trying to establish a long-term relationship with this client. So if they want to take things out, so long as that fee is above my minimum monthly fee, I'm not bothered, because it's not about making as much money as you can out of this client. It's not trying to get them to spend more or trick them more. We want to develop a long-term, lifelong relationship. There is no sales psychology in this. There is nothing weird in this. When I first met Paul, he was the only person doing sales conversations because he didn't think the rest of his team would want to do it. Now, we've got 20 members of staff and 12 of them are all fully versed in GoProposal. They're all able to produce proposals and fee reviews with a client, and they do it comfortably because it's just logic. There's no weird sales psychology in here at all. So the key part to this is that all of that great thinking that Paul had acquired through all of his learning and training and courses that he'd invested in, we've built into here to make sure that you never leave money on the table. For me, it's key. If you're, an accountant, you're helping your clients to establish profitable, successful businesses, you've got to demonstrate that yourself as well. So you can't leave money on the table. So for example, one of the things that we have in here is an alignment fee. So what an alignment fee is for is any services that you charge for annually, that you charge for over 12 months, but you deliver annually, such as annual accounts, you charge monthly for that. Because we're onboarding this client partway through their financial year, the system naturally figures that out and says there's an additional payment of £390 to make here, or if you want to, we can spread that payment out over the remaining 9 months of this financial year. But what it shows is that we're certainly not going to leave any money on the table, as it were. Once they're happy with that, and we've been backwards and forwards with it, at that point, everything's done. There is nothing more to do. Everything's now been produced behind the scenes. So we can go through and complete the contact details. All we need is minimal contact details in here. Hello, Simon, you've dived in there.
Hello, yeah, I've got two questions on that alignment. Well, one on an alignment fee and one on the year end.
Yes, sir.
So, firstly, what I think will be the simpler one. If the year we're looking at ends before the engagement starts, can you still issue a proposal?
So just give me an example of that then, Simon.
So say, for example, I've got a customer with a 30th of June 19, I'll pick a more realistic date, a 31st of December 19 year end,
yeah.
and they're coming to me now, and I'm doing a proposal for them for that year.
Yeah.
Will it still let me issue a proposal for that year?
So the way that we'd handle that is, you do two proposals. You do one proposal for their previous year because you're having to catch them up. So you do one from January the 1st to December 2019, because that's one block of work. Because what you may want to do with that, Simon, is annualize the cost of that. So you'd want to turn that into an annualized billing and just have one lump fee for that previous year, perhaps. And then what you'd do is you'd produce a second proposal starting from where we are now up until December 20.
So, Anne, on that because Anne's question was specifically about tax returns. So Anne says, thank you. So that's answered that question. Brilliant. Thank you. So just come back to the alignment fee for me.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, you've been promoting this and encouraging your customers to use the alignment fee.
Yeah.
My gut reaction, James, is because customers they're just not going to do it. If I sit there and say, okay, I'm going to charge you 544 quid, and then you need to pay me 390 quid today. Yeah. When I've not done anything at all at the moment. All I've done is issued a proposal.
Yeah.
They're going to laugh me out of the room. How do you respond to that? Do you provide us with scripts? How does that work?
So we do a lot of training around this, and we have a very active community that can help you with these type of things. We've never had an issue in our firm. It's about the way that you position this and about the fact that you're the authority in this. So we would always prefer the second option, Simon, like you say, because you've not had anything off them up until now. And the other thing, that one-off payment, 390, you don't necessarily have to charge it up front. You could charge it at the end of the year if you want to, or you could spread that payment over the next 3 months. That's entirely up to you. The important thing here is this: it's going to get paid, right?
Yeah.
We've had it before where someone's gone to an accountant and they've said, yeah, but I've had a price off another accountant and they're not charging me for that. They've not charged me for that missed work. And this is your opportunity to say, well, how on earth can they provide you with that value if they're giving it you away for free? And this is really key, right? The moment you do anything for free for a client is the moment that you start to say, our services have no value. And if another accountant wasn't charging for that, I would be saying to them, look, I can't give you this for free. You're partway through your year. We have to do this work. If I don't charge you for this, we can't deliver the level of service that you're going to be happy from us, right? And that's probably why you would come in to talk to us in the first place. So it's really key that you establish this up front and that you have these conversations. And you're right, it might be awkward. You might have to explain it. But if you don't, one or two things are going to happen. Either you're not going to get paid for it. And if you don't get paid for it, you're going to, not going to be able to do the work that they need from you. Or you're just not demonstrating that you're a business. I rarely use the word accounting firm or accounting practice. I use the word accounting business, because you're an accounting business. And this, for me, helps you to stand shoulder to shoulder with a client. If I had a client push back on me, I would explain our philosophy about cash flow and making sure that we charge for everything. And you know what? I'm going to help you to do the same. If you want to go to an accountant who doesn't charge for everything and give stuff away, what advice do you think you're going to get from them about your business? Your choice.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting throwback. Thank you. And Sandy says, think about it as like a retainer fee. So it's not a one-off fee, or it's not an accountancy fee. It's a retainer fee. So thank you for that, Sandy. Thank you. That's the question. If anybody's got any other questions as we go along, as I say, pop them in the chat or pop them in the Q&A, and I'll ask them as we go along. Thank you, James.
Yeah. But and it's this idea that GoProposal is your shield, because these are the real questions that get asked, though, Simon, and these are the things that we avoid. They are the things that we say yes to when we should probably say no to certain things. And then 6 months, 12 months down the line, that client becomes a complete pain in the whatever, not paying you enough, not valuing what you do. And what's really interesting is when you trace, and this is the thing, we say they're a bad client. So you end up saying, well, this is a bad client. I want to get rid of them and get a new one. What's really interesting is that if you trace it back, you actually turn them into a bad client in that first meeting. You allowed them to become a bad client, right? And so what this is about preserving the relationship, putting you as the authority, making sure you're in charge of it, and that they become a great client. That's the key thing.
Brilliant. Thank you.
So I just pulled my own headphones out quite aggressively there. Got a bit
That's
animated.
right.
Got a bit animated about that. Sorry.
Yeah. I love the passion.
So all we need now is a few details from the client. If you're integrated with with Xero, with QuickBooks or Central or Carbon, it will pull those contact details through already if they're in the system. Your staff details will automatically be pulled into here. I always like to agree a follow-up date with a client. So if they may want to sign up during the meeting, but if they don't want to, I would ask them, how long will it take you to make a decision about this proposal? And if they said, give me till Friday, I would always push back on that and say, is that realistic? Is that long enough to have spoke to everyone you need to speak to be able to make a decision? Because I don't want to be kind of pestering you prematurely. So I would be putting a follow-up date in there. And I'd also put down just what we call a future goal quote. You don't have to do this, but I think it's really nice, which says, if we were to become your accountant, over the next 12, 24 months, how will you know you've made the right decision? And so I would get them to put a goal in here as well. There's a few other settings that you can do, but you really don't need to, because at that point, the proposal's being created automatically with your branding in here, with the details. I've gone for Luke Skywalker and Jedi Knight, with it being May the 4th today, for those Star Wars fans. May the 4th be with you. It brings in testimonials if you want it to. It brings down a full breakdown of the costs if you want it to. You don't have to show a full breakdown. You could show a price per section. You could show an overall price. It's entirely what you feel comfortable with. And you can change that on the fly if you need to as well. It has a full explanation of the alignment fee to help you to position that. It has their goal quote, their future goal quote, exactly what they need to do to sign up with you next. You can have really cool pages in here as well. So this is just an example. If you want to insert kind of meet the team pages or things like that, that can be really cool. You don't have to. And this is a new feature we just brought out last year. Was it last year or was it the start of this year? I can't remember. Pretty recently. Hello, Simon.
Sorry, just before you get onto the map, I've got Neil has made a comment. He always uses the analogy of a new client joining me in January and asking them to pay me on a subscription basis by December. And if you explain it like that, then everybody gets it. It's just really simple. Yeah. Jared has asked, how flexible is the form adjusting fees based on income? For example, if the gross receipts are $500,000 and the tax return fee is $500, if gross receipts end up being $750,000, then the tax return fee should be $750, or the account should be $750.
Yeah.
So how do you go around that, James? If I issue a proposal based on 500,000 and it ends up that they're being at 750, do you just suck it and take it, or do you go back to them? What's the plan?
Yeah. So a couple of things. Whatever flexibility you want to build into the system, the idea is that we have a systemized approach to this that's constantly taking your learning and putting it back in. Pricing is never something that's solved. It's only something that keeps evolving. We only just keep getting it better and better. So what we need to do is to keep taking our learning and put it back in the system. So for example, you may charge based on revenue, or you may learn that actually there's another parameter that you want to charge on instead. And so whatever complexity you want to load in, you can do. What we always say is that once you've got those parameters very clearly defined, we actually carry out fee reviews with our clients every 3 months, specifically around bookkeeping, to make sure that things aren't massively out of whack. Now, because some of those services are based on what their annual revenue is, it depends how much of an impact that's having on the fees as well. But again, because the system clearly identifies what those revenue ranges were, and every service that's selected clearly identifies the exact parameters of that service, so that their team, your team, everybody understands what we agreed to. If we do get to that point further on where we have to say, hey, I'm really sorry, the fee's gone up, or your revenue's gone up, or you've got more transactions going through, or you've got more staff, you change it, you tweak it. Going back to that idea that the moment you give anything away for free, you start to undervalue your service. I met an accountancy firm last year, and they were adding all these advisory services and doing all these great, wonderful things, which sounded cool. And I just said to them, how often do you carry out reviews around payroll? And they're like, oh, well, we don't always do payroll reviews. It's only an extra £5 a month. I'm like, well, those fivers quickly add up, right? And it's those little bits, and it's getting your team to use a system to make sure you're mopping all those little bits up. There is massive amounts of revenue to be had in there.
Excellent, thank you.
Did I answer that, Simon?
Yes, you did. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And then Wendy asked, with regards to the alignment fee, and about, do you send both proposals at the same time, or do you send the first one first, do the job, and then send the second one?
I would do them both at the same time. If you're doing one where you're mopping up last year's work and you're charging a block for that, and then you've got the new proposal moving forward, I would, do everything all at the same time. I would send it out. They don't necessarily. You could postpone the start date potentially of the first of that one or whatever. But for me, you're trying to establish a long-term relationship with them here. So I would make that assumption that they're just going to carry on with the services with you.
Brilliant, thank you. And then David, I've got your question. We've got a section coming up in a bit about integrations and future development. So if James doesn't cover it off in that section, I'll make sure it gets answered before we disappear, David. Cool. Thanks, James.
One of the things we're always very keen to help you with is to help you to position your value clearly to your clients. So one of the new features from last year that we brought in was this apps map. So what you can do within the back end is you can assign icons to any software and subscription that you provide to your clients, and then it will generate this apps map for them so they can understand the full value of the tech that you're putting in to the client, because you figured out what to provide that client with, and you should be able to charge for that. So for example, Receipt Bank generates us in our firm over £1,000 profit every month. It's a profit line for us. It's not a cost center for us, it's a profit center for us. But that's because the way that we articulate it, we don't give our clients a choice. They have to have Xero, they have to have Receipt Bank, they have to have Go Cardless, and they have to be paid via Go Cardless, sorry. And so we would show them that system altogether, because the value isn't in any individual piece of software. The value is in the connectivity and the overall set of integrations that we're providing them with. So what we're very keen to do is you'll always see us bringing out innovations to help you to articulate that value, not only from your side as well, but it's really important that the client understands that as well. So that's what the proposal looks like. There's a full explanation of all the services in there so that all of the stakeholders involved in this engagement, whether it's your team or their team, understand exactly what you're agreeing in there and at what level. And also at the same time, the letter of engagement is completed as well. So we don't have to go anywhere. Before you leave this meeting, your proposal's done, they know what they're getting, they know how much it's going to cost. Your letter of engagement is all complete in here with any terms that you want to pull in, and you may have several types of letters of engagement. It will bring the exact right one through. as well as any service schedules, but only for the services that have been selected in that proposal as well. The letter of engagement gets chosen early on here, so you get to choose exactly what letter of engagement template you want, what proposal template, etc. So that's what all gets formed. And I remember reading somewhere once, if you produce a proposal within 24 hours of a meeting, you've got a greater chance of signing the client up. My view is if you're taking 24 hours to produce a proposal, you're exactly a day too late. When I come to see you and I have set time aside to come and see you to discuss a renewal or a proposal, I've committed that time for that task as a business owner. I'm a busy guy. I've got 3 kids, a wife. I'm doing lots of things, right? Once I leave that meeting, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get on my phone. I'm going to be checking emails, text messages, phone calls, emails, etc. I'm gone. My head will be gone. If you're then trying to send me a proposal a day later, even an hour later, my head's on something else. So it's very, very key that we're able to do this during the meeting so that if they've got any questions, however awkward they are, they can ask you those questions and we can get agreement on that. And when you leave that, you've created a world-class experience because they've got everything that they need in their inbox there, right there during that meeting. Once they've then got that email, they can then come and sign it. They digitally sign it online. And the moment they accept that proposal, that will then get sent a confirmation through to you and a confirmation through to the client with everything signed. And that can trigger off your invoices, your payment mechanism, and your workflows as well if you use Carbon or Center. And we have some more integrations coming around that as well. I'm going to move on to the admin area, and I half expected Simon to pop up then. So, Simon,
just quickly on that, does the letter of engagement, is it an ICAW one? Where's the letter of engagement come from, James?
When we load in the system to start with, we just put in some sample copy in there as a starting point. So you have to copy and paste your letter of engagement in there. The reason why we don't pull through, we won't go and get an ICAW one, or we wouldn't get an ACCA one and put one in there for you and say, there you go, is because you'll know in your firm, Simon, whilst you take that, that's your standard, that's your basic, right? But we've added to that all the time. We're constantly evolving it. You know, we have an offshore function in the Philippines, for example. Well, that's mentioned in our terms and conditions. So it'd be no good us taking and preloading an ACCA standard template in there, because you should be evolving your letter of engagement yourself, and we can't legally stand up for what you should be getting. So I would be very hesitant to load in any templated service, but we've made it super easy. It's literally a copy and paste exercise, and we do have an additional service where we can go and do that for you as well if you want to completely save time.
Brilliant, thank you, James. That answers the question, Yogesh. Wendy's put, we uploaded our own ICAW engagement letter on GP. Yeah, so Wendy's just confirmed exactly what you said. Brilliant, thank you.
Perfect. And just to keep on that, Simon, ICAW, they're very stringent, you know, about how it works, and we've got some great accountants who are, you know, making sure that all the T's and C's are there and everything's dotted and crossed and exactly as it should be. And we've worked very closely with those firms to make sure that this is the most comprehensive system that we can build for them. So, for example, I'm in the back end here now where you can edit a line item. I've got them loaded up here as well. So within every line item, you can put in the description of that service, but you can also load in the service schedule in here as well. And you can go as much detail as you want in here for how that service schedule will be, and that will get pulled through into the proposal. While I'm in here as well, I'm just going to show you, you've got where GoProposal really excels and what we've been focused on and, you know, excelling at is the pricing methodologies that we have in the system. So you can have monthly pricing, one-off pricing. We have various pricing here that you can have, whether it's fixed pricing or number range pricing or various things. And then within here, you can build up the level of complexity with up to 5 calculations, and what that does is it means that every single line item could potentially have thousands of permutations of a price. So anything that you can possibly imagine, if you can kind of create it in an Excel spreadsheet, there's a way that we can create it in here for you. But the idea is that we can build out the complexity in here, but the way that it's presented to your clients and the way that your staff will then see it is with sophistication rather than complication. And so, for example, here, this is a number range pricing. This is the way that we price for bookkeeping services. So we've built out all of the line items here, and then we have an additional calculation based on the frequency of reconciliation. With things like annual accounts, this is a service that we would price based on the annual revenue range of the client. So again, you can go and configure this exactly as you want it to be. And again, you can build out that complexity. So you can build it out with quality of their record keeping, or you may want to add another calculation and say, well, I want to build it based on their industry or whatever it is, because you may find that restaurants just take you more time to handle their accounts, for example. So you may want to kind of mark that price up. And the idea is that we're constantly evolving this. It's never solved. Pricing is never done and parked. You're always revisiting it and always making those tweaks to it. So you can come in here and configure the pricing as complicated as you want. The apps map feature that I mentioned to you earlier, this is a new feature that we have whereby you can come in here and you can choose from a huge library of apps. If you can't find the app that you want, you can request it, and within a couple of days we'll load that into the system for you. And that means that when they're selected, that automatically builds out that beautiful apps map to help you to articulate the value of what you do there as well. And you've got a lot of configuration here. So I don't want to kind of overwhelm people with the complexity of the admin area, but safe to say this has been evolving for 3 years. The amount of control around pricing settings, what you want to show clients, whether you want to round things, don't want to round things, it's entirely up to you. The alignment fee and the messaging you want to have around the alignment fee. So as that guy said earlier about describing it as a subscription, sounds great. You can go and build that into there as well. You can have as many proposal types as you want, so you can really start to get into the specifics of proposal types if you choose to, because you may have different proposal types depending on what type of client that is or which team is handling that client as well. And the letter of engagement as well, just to show you this. This is where you build out the complexity of your letters of engagement. So you can add as many letters of engagement as you choose to in here. So if you want to go into the specifics of any of this, I can take you through individually. We can get you booked onto a one-to-one demo if that's useful, or you can dive in for a trial of it. But the depth of this just keeps going and going, because we've been working very closely with many firms, and any firms on here that use us already will testify to how kind of we're constantly adding new features to this, and that's a lot of the feedback that we get. Just to show you a bit about the integrations, kind of a few of you be really keen to know about that, and the way they work is the way that we work with invoicing and payments is that when the proposal comes through here, you accept the proposal. Upon accepting the proposal, you can then direct them anywhere you want. So you can direct them through to your Go Cardless mandate. For example, we use Go Cardless in our own firm. So you can direct them through to that. And we generate the invoice in Xero or in QuickBooks as well. And then you can set that to be a recurring invoice. The big innovation that we're working on that's being tested by firms at the moment and that will be going live this month is the fact that what will happen is the Go Cardless payment will sit within here when you accept the proposal. So they'll have to complete the mandate as they complete the proposal at the same time as they accept it. So once they accept the proposal, it will then, only once they've set the payments up, generate that invoice in Xero. But GoProposal will be triggering the invoice every single month. So you can either have it as we set it up once and you set up as a recurring invoice in Xero, or GoProposal can drive the invoice on a monthly basis. You will have that control. And again, you've got that beautiful integration between Xero and Go Cardless, or you may want to choose Xero and Stripe, and you can have that as your payment as well. We don't do the payment mechanism. And the reason why we don't handle the payment is because whilst it can sound good, sorry, I won't say that. The reason we don't handle the payment mechanism is because in our firm, we wanted the flexibility to be able to switch out payment mechanisms as we see fit. And so we currently use GoCardless. And so GoProposal is flexible to be able to use that. If at a later date we wanted to switch to something else, we wanted a very flexible system to accommodate that. So we handle the proposal, the payment, the letter of engagement, the pricing, the letter of engagement, and at that point we hand off to whatever payment mechanism and invoicing that you choose. And also you can hand over to QuickBooks as well. The other thing I just want to say briefly, sorry, on the line item is that you can integrate, if we come through to a service here, you can also integrate with Xero here, so you can integrate with your account code, and we also integrate with Center and with Carbon, so that you can assign every single service to a workflow in that software, and that will trigger off those workflows again once the proposal is accepted. So that's everything to do with GoProposal. I've got a couple more bits and I'll take your questions. People always ask how easy it is to set it up. Obviously, you've just seen a full app there with all of the pricing loaded into the system. Now, what we've done is we've developed a very clever way of doing this for you within 60 seconds. So when you sign up for a proposal, all we ask is 3 questions. So we just need to know the base prices that you currently charge for 3 services. So what do you charge for annual accounts per month for a client up to £30,000 of revenue, and for a client between 1 and 2 million? Once you've answered that, we need to know what would you charge to reconcile 50 bank transactions per month? And then finally, what would you charge to run payroll for 1 person per month? And then for each person after that, up to 10 people. And if you don't do payroll, you can just tick that. Or if you don't do bookkeeping, you tick that. What we've then done is taken your base prices and all of our pricing methodology within the system that we've been evolving since we started 3 years ago. That's not just from our firm, but from some brilliant firms, whether that's here in the UK or if you're a US app, from US firms. And it takes the pricing methodologies of those firms that have proven it to work, your base prices, it works its magic, and it generates this set of pricing as a starting point for you to then go and edit and make work for yourself. Obviously, you're going to want to tweak that, but the idea is that we will take you as close as we can to be able to use the product as fast as possible. I got a message last night from someone who's 2 weeks into their 4-week free trial with us. She's produced 5 proposals already and had 1 accepted. So she's covered the cost of GoProposal already because of the increase in fees that she's charged in those proposals. And we work very, very closely with you to be able to do that, because we want to ensure that GoProposal is an investment and not a cost for you. So in that first 30 days and beyond, we'll work very, very closely with you to get your app set up and get you to the point where you can produce your first proposal. Everything I've shown you here represents a third of our entire offering. So a third is the technology. The other third is our community and our members. You just ask them, we'll tell you this is the most active and involved community they're involved with online for accountants. It's very supportive, very helpful, and there's several posts in there a day. Everyone's in there to help you to move forward with things. And the other third is our academy, because as I explained to you before, about what's that consultative sales framework that you should be having with your clients, what are those key questions that you should be asking them, how can you get your team to be doing that? Well, we've completely built this out, and it's a full CPD accredited course for you and your entire team to go through. And it doesn't train you in GoProposal. My support team handle that. What this trains you is how to embed a sales and pricing system into your business so that it sticks and so that it's impactful, so that you're the most profitable accounting firm you can be. Simon, I'm going to cue you to come back in here.
Brilliant. Got lots of questions. Just so people know, I'm going to post the URL in the chat box so they can go to the website to see all those resources that you was talking about. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Perfect. So that's there if anybody wants it. I've got loads of questions coming through. Just from Tracy, how much is it set as standard, or is it a blank canvas? I think you just answered that when you talked about setting the prices up and dragging it through.
Yes, we have sample content in there. We will go and put your branding in there for you. All of the pricing will be loaded in there as a starting point. Obviously, we can't tell you what you should be charging, but we take the methodologies and your base prices and give you a starting point. The fastest someone has used GoProposal is they've signed up in the morning and they've produced their first proposal in the same day and had it accepted in the same day. So we take you as far forward as we possibly can with it.
Brilliant, thank you. And then Anne's shared, GoPro community is fantastic, worth the money alone. So that's a big up for the Facebook group.
Cool.
Whilst we're talking about the money, James, have you mentioned how much GoProposal is? I've got a couple of questions on pricing. What's
So
investment?
our standard fee, the standard price for GoPro is £120 a month, and that's for up to 2 users. It's completely free. It's a free trial to sign up with. You don't have to put your card details in. And like I say, we will work very closely with you to get that investment back, ideally, before you even put your card details into the system. That's our goal. So £120 a month. You can cancel whenever you like. And I always say this, I don't know if I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot with this one, Simon, but I've made cancelling so easy because I always hate it if you can't cancel something. So I've made the button massive, like just hit it and we'll parachute you out of there, right? Your payments cancel the instant you hit the button. We just ring you to thank you, and then you're done there. So that's very easy. If you're a one-man band or an army of one, as we like to call you, for up to 5 proposals a month, that's the only limitation we put on that. That is £60 a month. And then it's £180 a month for up to 4 users beyond that as well.
Brilliant, thank you.
Sorry, Sam, just quick on that. There is no restriction on the number of clients you have and the number of proposals that you produce. So it's unlimited use of the system. We only charge you based on the number of users you have using the system.
Perfect. And I know there's a couple of people on the call when they registered. They asked if they could have the free trial again.
Yeah, come on in. We don't like if you've had a free trial before. We kind of like want to say like what didn't go right the first time for you. And it may just not have been the right timing for you, or you may not have been coming at it with the right mindset, perhaps. But of course, if somebody was to kind of come maybe 5 or 6 times because they want our free gift pack that we send out with every time you sign up, then we might have a word with you. But no, of course, you're very, very welcome back.
Brilliant. So the ones that have put that on the registration, James, I'll get in touch with them and tell them that you've said that in case they're not on the call. There's over 50 people, so they're probably on the call. If you want to go, James, to come direct to you, if you put your email address in the chat box just for me or for the panelists, then James can download that off the chat, and then that will save me having to do the admin. So we'll pop it in there. And somebody's asked, I understand you were offering a 60-day free trial instead of a 30 days. Is that?
That was only, we did that for last month. That was just to help because as things were a little bit quieter in the current state of play, we just kind of offered some extra support. So we extended free trials by 60 days and we gave certain things away as well. So we gave access to my practical positivity course. So that's still on the table. We'll give you the practical positivity course. And we've also decided, we were originally going to charge for the academy for our members. We decided to give that away as well to help further support people through these times. So it's back to 30-day free trial now. And you know, being honest, I don't know how useful it is to give. It sounds good that you're getting 60 days free trial. What people I think do when they get it is they kind of think, oh, I've got 60 days, so I won't do anything for 30 days, and then I'll actually do it. My view is that we want to work with you quick. So the level of support you will get to get you up and using this before you even put your card details in, like I say, we want you getting your money back already before you've even paid us anything.
Brilliant, thank you. And then I've got a couple of questions on Iris. Are there any planned integrations with Iris Practice Management?
No, I mean, they were a closed shop until fairly recently. I do believe they're open now to be able to integrate with them. So it was never on the radar to be able to do that. But I do believe they have an integration. It's not something that we've had a huge demand for. We do listen to everyone's feedback, but we kind of listen to the recurring feedback more. And as that gets pushed up the list, then we'll respond to that. There's no plan on the roadmap. But that's not to say we wouldn't be open to that discussion.
Brilliant, thank you. How does the apps map? How does the apps map work if you aren't 100% Xero or 100% QuickBooks practice?
Yeah, that's fine. So you can load in as many icons as you want. So you could load in Sage, Free Agent, QuickBooks Zero, whatever you want to do. And then as you go through the proposal and you select those services, so just like in this one here, you could choose QuickBooks instead of Zero, then it will pull those icons through. I believe that you should kind of be fairly restricted about what you offer, because I think it can be quite a dangerous situation to be saying, choose whatever you want, we'll build whatever tech you want. I think you kind of back yourself into a corner with that one. But if you want to, you can build as many service line items in here and icons as you choose.
Brilliant, thank you. Just to say to Christy and Graham, I've got your email addresses, so I'll make sure that happens for you. Jeff, thank you very much for your kind words. I won't read that out. Jeff's just basically said that I'm more handsome than what you are, James. Wendy, again, fantastic. Community support's brilliant. Is there going to be an iPad app for GoProposal?
Not an iPad app, but GoProposal was always designed to be used on an iPad. So if you notice here, all of the buttons and everything are finger-sized. So it works beautifully on an iPad. So whilst it's not strictly speaking an app in its own right, i.e., an icon on the board, if you use it via your iPad, which many of our members do, it's great. It works so well from a collaborative discussion rather than kind of sat over the table with your laptop up. And especially the big iPad. So it was, like I say, fundamentally designed to be used with an iPad from day one.
Brilliant. And Sandy's just put in the chat box that he uses it all the time on his iPad. Hillary's asked, what does an ideal GoProposal client look like? What's the size of the practice and combination of service lines?
Yeah. I don't think it matters the size, and I don't think it matters the combination of service lines. I think that the ideal client for GoProposal is someone who can make decisions. Where we sometimes struggle, being really honest, is if you have like a multi-partner firm where kind of you have like 2 or 3 partners within that firm who have a very clear direction where they're trying to go to with their business, and then you have other partners that don't. So I think for a firm that is more entrepreneurial, they're brilliant for GoProposal. Firms who have a very clear direction as to where they want to go to. Firms who realize that they're struggling with scope creep is ideal as well. But in terms of numbers of line items and size, it's not an issue. It's not an issue at all. That doesn't play a part. So more of, certainty of direction and what you're trying to do is more important.
Yeah, so it's more about mindset than size, basically. That's
completely, yeah. And we work very hard with you on that. I appreciate, we've got a really good resource. If you come to our resources page, I shared it with you before, Simon. But like one of the key things, we had a client come to us. It's funny, this one. She came to us with GoProposal, and then it wasn't the right time for her or whatever, and she left. And then she said, "Can I come back and have another free trial?" And she came back after watching this video here. Feel the fear and reprice anyway. How do you go back and reprice all of your clients? She came back to us, and within 3 days of signing up with GoProposal, she went back to a client and she increased their fees by 10 times. I'm always hesitant to tell the story. It's like one of them 10x your fees. It literally was a 10x in of her fees because she completely changed the mindset. So really valuable resource that if you want to, I think you've got that link, haven't you, Simon?
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah, that's so. If I'll put that in the chat box again because it will have scrolled up, and that's just on the website. Just go to the website and watch
all three.
Yeah,
loads of resources on here that you can go and grab, guys. All of the gloss method, which is the sales framework that we use in our meetings, the 1-3-12 rule, how we carry out fee reviews. They're all there. Just go grab them.
Brilliant. Any planned integration with Digita?
No, not at the moment. Again, I've not been asked for it. If things keep getting asked for, they bubble up. Always, we're constantly building out our integration. So always happy to have the conversation, but not at the moment. No.
Okay. Now this one's coming up, and I know you've answered this, but how much time and effort needs to be invested on setting up GoProposal for a small sole trader where time is limited? And I know when you touched on it a minute ago, James, you said you've had people register for the trial and do a proposal on the same day.
Yeah.
And I obviously I understand and appreciate how long is a piece of string, and you can take as long as you want to set. And I would put forward an argument, but for ours, we've been using GoProposal for 2 years and it's still not finished. it's being used, but it's constantly being developed.
Yeah.
How long does it take to get it so you can actually sit in front of a client and use it in anger, for one of a better phrase?
So we always say version 1 is better than version none. Like if you're not got your pricing right, you're not get it right now, then you're better off getting out the door with it being 80% right, because it's like 20% right now. So typically what we say is 4 hours. So 4 focused hours. And what you get when you sign up, like I say, we'll set your branding up for you, and we get you booked onto a Kickstart training session straight away. We run 3 of those live every single week, where you can ask any questions you want. You can constantly go back onto those. You got unlimited chat ask us as many questions as you want. Like, do not struggle for more than 1 minute without hitting the chat box and asking us a question. Anything that you want, you can book strategy calls with us. So 4 hours, Simon, of someone focused on it will be at the point where they can produce their first proposal. If they set 6 hours to one side, they'd be nailed on. Anything after that, you're tinkering. You're embellishing. We can always do that later on, but let's solve the fundamental problem, which is scope and price.
Okay, thank you. Any collaboration with CCH planned?
Again, no, not at the moment, no.
Okay. Is your middle name really fireproof?
Yeah, changed it by Depot when I was 18 to mainly annoy my parents. It was Andrew previously. I think I was induced a week early because my parents were going to a party, right? So I think I was like an inconvenience to start with. I think when they picked Andrew, there was like, yeah, pick an A, anything. So I changed it to fireproof when I was by Depot, yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Can the software be used and adopted for smaller clients? We've answered that one. For a one-man band, we've answered. Is there a certain number? We've answered that one.
Just to pick up on those questions, Simon.
Yeah.
For a small practice, for a startup practice, it is perfect. And I never like really push GoProposal saying you must sign up today. If it's a startup firm, they're the only ones I'm like, please let me help you. Let me help you now, because I don't want you to get into a problem 6 months, 12 months down the line where you've got 20 clients that you've signed up and they're not paying you enough, because there will forever be a burden around your neck. So startup firms are perfect. And if you think about this, if you take the £60 a month one, because you're only producing 5 proposals a month, GoProposal, and let's say you produce 3 proposals, GoProposal only has to help you to charge 20 quid a month more for those 3 clients, and it's free for life. Like, just see it, and it will do that. If we don't do that, we're doing something wrong, right? So see it as, what do I need to get GoProposal being free? And someone posted, one of our existing members posted in January this year, is like January the 6th, just signed up 2 new clients. That's GoProposal paid for again for the year for free. Like, that's it. That's the plan.
Brilliant. Thank you, James. What happened to the Accountancy Manager integration?
So we were all ready to go with that, and it was going to mimic what we've done with Carbon and Center, which is a very deep integration that we have with that. Their priorities changed. I'm not quite sure of the details around that, but their priorities changed. So we stopped it. It got stopped. But that said, last week I spoke to James Byrne, and we said, can we get it? He said, can we get it back on again? And I said, yes. So it's tentatively penciled in for next quarter. So the plan is, all things being well, for us to start again in June. You've heard it here first. I've not announced it anywhere else because it didn't go ahead last time, and I will not be announcing it until it's fully in place and about to go live. So it is coming back.
Brilliant. Thank you. We sent a quote to a client 60 days ago. He didn't return our calls. Should we send him a new proposal or restart, or leave it alone?
Yeah. So we would never stop with a client. So until they tell us to never call them again, we would never stop following up with a prospect. Sometimes you assign meaning to it. Like, you've sent them a proposal, you rang them, you emailed them, they didn't get back to you. Therefore, it means this. It means nothing. So don't assign any meaning to it. With GoProposal, what we would encourage you to do is it goes out the same day while you're in the meeting. And then what's a really nice idea is we use Loom and produce a video of the proposal and send that through the next day, which is a great way to follow up with. So if you've not sent a video through of the proposal, reminding them of all the value and why you've included things in there, that's a beautiful way to follow up. But just keep building value with them. 12 to 15 times it can be before a client will say yes to something. So keep going until they expressly tell you not to.
Brilliant, thank you. And I'm conscious of the time, so we're touching 3 o'clock. As I said, I've got some more questions to ask James, which we're going to carry on to no later than 3:30. But on the basis that some people might have to leave because they'd planned for the hour, then thank you very much for coming along. I hope you've got the questions answered that you want to. There will be a recording, so thank you, Yogesh. There will be a recording, which I will make sure gets emailed out to everybody that's been on the call. So if you can't stop for the last half an hour and you want to know what questions were asked and what James's answers were, then you will still get an opportunity to see it. So thank you very much for coming. And we've got some more coming up this week as well. Got Practice Ignition tomorrow morning, and then Steve Trister on Thursday morning, which you'll be getting invites to. Is there anything you want to say, James, to anybody that's now about to disappear?
Just thank you for coming along, and just about you really, Simon. Like, I know there's a lot of people kind of talking in the accounting space, but just how much kind of respect I have for you and the work that you're doing, especially during these times. I know how much value you've been bringing to the accounting industry, and you know, I know the caliber of people that you attract to work closely with you, Simon. So just thank you for inviting me to come and do this. And I obviously know the caliber of the people that be on this call as well. And so it just means a lot for me to be able to demo this to you guys, really. If you want to sign up for a trial, you know where to find us. If you want a demo because you want more information, you know where to find us as well. And if you just want to go and grab some resources off our website, please go and get them however we can help you.
Brilliant. Thank you, James. So next up, how is the Academy taking off?
Brilliantly. I mean, we've only just put our first few members through this, but just the feedback, I can't believe the speed at which people are working through it. But we committed to, people sometimes want me to go into their business, Simon, into their firm, and kind of, can you come and spend the day with us? And I would love to do that. Like, I really love rolling my sleeves up and getting into their business and helping them. But it's not practical for me to do that, as well as having GoProposal. I've got MAP, and I've got kids and a wife and all these type of things. So I recorded everything that I would do if I was to go into that business to become your sales, to become your training system for how to sell and price your services. And so just some great feedback on there. Really, really encouraged by that.
Excellent. Thank you. Why should accountants choose GoProposal over Practice Ignition?
Great question. And I would never tell anyone that you've got to do this or that we're better or anything like that. It comes down to, at the end of the day, what's best for you. So I would just encourage you to make sure that you know what problem it is that you're looking to solve. Where we excel and we really focus on is the fact that the evolution around our pricing system. So we have consistent pricing, and we have the ability to manage scope, and that your entire team can use it, and that it can be done within minutes whilst you're live with the client. So for me, that was the fundamental problem that we wanted to solve in our firm. And that is what's put us in a strong position now and moving forward, and what we put our members in that position as well. Because at the end of the day, managing the scope and the price is what controls your profitability. And if you can't control your profitability, you can't control anything else in your firm. It's the fundamental bedrock of a successful firm. And that's what GoProposal fundamentally helps you to achieve.
Thank you. What are your thoughts on bundle pricing and menu pricing?
Yeah, you know, you can include kind of bundle pricing in here, in the fact that you can load in packages, and that those packages will then bring in certain line items in here which you can then go and tweak. I probably put
just James, just for the people that are watching that perhaps don't know the difference between bundle and menu pricing. What's the difference?
I'm probably not sure myself, to be honest.
So go on.
I would say a bundle price is where you kind of say, we do all these, you get all of this, you get all this, this, and this, and this. Like we give you a complete bookkeeping service, but then you're not defining the parameters of that. Whereas menu signing is defining the parameters.
Yeah, for me, I always think of bundles as like the McDonald's Happy Meal. So menu pricing, you go into a restaurant and you pick a starter, a main, and a dessert, but you know what the prices are and you buy them off the menu. Whereas a bundle, you go and buy a Happy Meal and they knock you 25% off and give you an extra chip or whatever it is, because you've bought a package together.
Yeah. I think it's fine. So the way that we do it is you could still build a bundle up as a package, but out of services. So my analogy is more like a pizza. So for example, you can still choose a 12-inch Hawaiian, but you could have a stuffed crust if you want, or you could have extra ham, or you could add sides. You still need to be able to break things down clearly, because what you don't want to do is bundle it in and say, right, we'll do your bank rec for you, but then you've not got the granularity of saying how many transactions they've got or what the frequency of reconciliation is. The moment you start to avoid those type of questions in a bundle is when you just have too much scope. You have clients that are profitable and clients that are costing you money to serve. So it doesn't matter too much so long as you're able to still have that granularity around the way that you price.
Thank you. How should we deal with staff who won't or can't change? So I think it's a good idea as a practice owner, and I want my team to use it, but they won't, James. What's the steps?
Yeah, they've got to understand. I guess there's two questions here, Simon. One is, are they a good culture fit for your firm in general? Like, are they a good member of staff? Are they a good skill set? Are they a good culture fit? And so I'm assuming they are. And now they just don't want to adopt this. The reason typically people don't want to get involved with this in terms of pricing and selling is because of their experience of selling in the past, or what they've been taught about pricing, or what they've been taught about selling. They don't want to get into awkward conversations. This, strictly speaking, GoProposal isn't a sales tool. It's a closing tool. And sales requires psychology. Closing requires logic. So this is a logical tool. It's designed to be used with an accountant's mindset. There is no sales psychology here. That's why you can roadmap services very, very easily if somebody doesn't want anything. I don't believe in pressuring someone to buy it. What we've done is that's really what the academy is all about, to transform their thinking. So we've built this out for you to be able to put your members of staff through so they can work through this, certainly the first 4 modules, and it gets them to arrive at the conclusion whereby they do want to use GoProposal. And that's a key thing. GoProposal is a pricing system. You want to build a systemized accountancy firm that's not reliant upon people, it's reliant upon systems. You then want the people to run the system. We're a pricing system, and we'll train your team for you. We'll do it for you on how and why they should use it, and specifically the benefits to them. If they don't understand how they benefit, they're not going to use it.
Thank you. What's next in the product development line?
Yeah, so we're constantly evolving it. As I said, people tell us that out of all the apps they use, we're the one that fulfill our roadmap faster than anyone else. And when we bring something out, it lands where they want it to land. So I resist bells and whistles. I'm only interested in bringing out features that's genuinely going to impact you and help you, your business, or help you to serve your clients better. And I'm happy to resist things as well, you know, Simon. Like, we're quite well known in Norway, and the top 4 firm in Norway said, we'll take GoProposal on if you give us the flexibility to kind of change all of the pricing within the system within every proposal. And I'm like, well, that defeats the object of having a systemized approach. And they said, yeah, but we've got different partners that charge different amounts and this. And I explained to them why that wasn't a good idea. And they went and changed their approach and now use GoProposal. And so I'm happy to resist to stand by our philosophies for what I believe to be right. That said, we've got what innovation have we got? We've got some nice little innovations to make our system work quicker and slicker. We've got a better integration with Xero and QuickBooks coming so that it drives the invoice on a monthly basis, as I mentioned earlier. A deeper integration with Go Cardless, as I showed as well, so that the payment acceptance sits before you accept the proposal. We've got 2 big new features that kind of broaden GoProposal's offering, but I've got to keep quiet about those. And I will share them with you when they're going to go live, but hugely, hugely exciting. But and next week, you're going to see about 5 new features hit as well. I'm always hesitant to kind of lure people in with things that are coming in the future, because the reality is, when this GoProposal was developed 3 years ago for our firm, it made us a lot more money, made us more profitable, and helped us to serve our clients to a higher level then. And we still mainly use those core features then. Sometimes people they put off the hard part. The hard thing with GoProposal, Simon, is going back to existing clients and saying that you need to pay us more money. And no amount of features me putting in this system is going to help you to avoid having that difficult conversation. So we have got some really cool things coming. They're always coming all the time, but I'm always hesitant to talk about them too much because people then delay doing what they need to do because we'll do it when that comes. Yeah. We'll do it when that happens. And the reality is that's probably not important.
Okay, brilliant. Does GoProposal have a US presence?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've always kept fairly quiet in the US, but we've got a big plan for the US, and the pricing wizard works exactly the same as it does in the UK, but it loads in US pricing into there. And obviously they've got a lot more tax regulations there because it works differently in different states, and it perfectly accommodates that. So we've got a number of firms using it very successfully, and they keep saying to us, like America is desperate for GoProposal. We really need it. So we are having a big push. I think you mentioned Sandy earlier. I presume Sandy McRae. Yeah. So Sandy uses GoProposal and has done since the start. So yeah, very successful. Works very successfully in America.
Excellent. The database created using the software. If we decide to move away from GoProposal, can we take it with us?
Yeah. So we're not a CRM. So my belief is that you only ever want one CRM in your business, and that CRM should be connected to your practice management software. So the moment you have multiple CRMs, you've got one's going to be up to date and one's going to be out of date. So what we do is we pass that data, Simon, the contact data, into Carbon, into Center, into QuickBooks, into Xero for you. You can do an export of the proposals. You can also do an export of all your pricing. Like, what's a really simple thing to do for people? Like, just come into GoProposal, do the wizard, scroll down here, and download all of your pricing. It's like if you just want to kind of get the pricing methodology out of the system, that's the easiest way to do that. So you can export that, and I believe you can. Let me just check. I believe you can export all the proposal types, but fundamentally, I know you can't export all the proposals. We can do a back end export if you wanted to. We can export all the data in a CSV file if you really want us to. Not a problem.
Okay. Is it possible to remove the feature with the accounting year and current year at the beginning?
So it's start date. So start date is the date of the engagement, or when you want this or for this engagement period of this proposal, and their year end. And that is a prerequisite of the system, because that influences and informs various pricing in there, Simon, and would trigger alignment fees. I'd be interested to hear why people wouldn't want to set those parameters, I guess. So I'd be happy to explore it with this person as to what the use case was as to why they wouldn't want to define those periods. But for me, they're kind of fundamental, because the start date trigger is passed through to the invoicing as well, you see. So we need that on the invoice to pass through to there, and their year end is just their year end.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I think that might relate back to the tax return question that we had earlier. So I can follow that one up.
Yeah, sure.
Are there any further integrations planned, which we've covered? So I'm coming to the...
the big integration is Zapier. We've got a big Zapier integration coming very, very soon as well. So that will enable you to plug it into virtually anything that you want.
Brilliant. So I'm coming to the end of the questions that I've got. So if anybody's on the call has got any more questions, if you whack them in the Q&A or in the chat box, then I'll make sure they get asked before we disappear. How well will it integrate with Xero and TaxFiler?
Yeah, so we pass the invoice into Xero. At the moment, it just sends it once, and then you turn that into a recurring invoice. But like I say, within the next week or two, certainly in May, it will be passing the invoice over every month. You can also, as you produce the proposal, you can send the date. It sends all the contact data over into Xero, or if you've already got a contact in Xero because you're doing a renewal, and that's what GoProposal's mainly used for renewals. Like in our firm, we've got 130 clients. We only take on 2 new clients a month. So we produce 4 proposals a month, but we're doing 20 renewals a month, because we're constantly doing fee reviews with our clients. I appreciate we probably should have had a different name than GoProposal, with it being mainly used for renewals. But if you've already got a contact in Xero, it will pull that contact details back into the proposal. So again, you're not doubling up on the details. With TaxFile, I'm not sure about that, Simon. We don't integrate with TaxFilers, but I don't know if TaxFile integrates with anything else, does it?
I don't know. It's not something that we use
Sure.
or I've even come across.
I can post a question in the group. So
yeah.
anyone that uses TaxFiler, how do they use that with GoProposal? I can ask them.
Brilliant. Thank you. Is there an Infusionsoft / Keep integration?
Yeah. So when the proposal's produced, it will pass the contact data and tags. It can fire any tags over. So we use Infusionsoft in MAP, we use Infusionsoft in GoProposal. And again, when the proposal is accepted, it will do another passing of the details over. So things like proposal number, proposal value, which member of staff's being used in the proposal, and all the client's contact details. And like I say, you've got 2 sets of tags that can be applied. So set of tags when the proposal is accepted, when the proposal is first produced, so you can use it for follow-up, and you can pass that follow-up date through to Infusionsoft. So you can send that follow-up date through to trigger off your activity around that. And then when the proposal is accepted, again, you can fire a different tag through, different set of tags through as well.
Excellent. And then no, I've answered that. Did it integrate with Stripe? I know you've answered that, James, but I can't remember what the answer was.
No, so again, we don't handle the payment, but we pass it through to Xero. And for me, your payment mechanism should be connected to your accounting software, not to us. So Xero have got a fantastic integration with Stripe. They've got a fantastic integration with Xero. So that for me is your model. Sometimes people think that they want one system that does everything, that does proposals, payments, practice management, sale, everything, right? Which sounds good in theory, but as you grow your firm, you have different demands of the system, and you want to be able to interchange parts and say, right now, I want to switch Stripe out for Go Cardless. I want to add this in as my practice management software. And so you want that flexibility to be able to do that. And so it's that model that we support, Simon, the best of breeds approach to allow you to grow and to flex.
Excellent. Thank you. So that was the last question on the predefined ones. I'll just make doubly sure to do that. Make doubly sure that there's none in the chat and there's none in the Q&A. So now we are clear, James, with 13 minutes spare. So Ben and Amy will be delighted that they can have Netflix and all the YouTube stuff and whatnot back on a little earlier than what I promised. So that just leaves me to say thank you very much to everybody that's still on the call. I say still, it was a fascinating conversation. I love the passion, James, love the energy, as you know. So say thank you very much to everybody that's come along, and thank you very much for sharing. The resources is in the chat box. James has just put his LinkedIn profile in the chat box as well. So if you want to connect with James, then no doubt you can. Is there anything you'd like to share, James, before we finish?
No, just thank you for allowing me to come on here again, Simon, and thank you to everyone for staying here. Hopefully I've been valuable for you, and if GoProposal is something that you would like to explore further, you can go and get a demo, you can go and sign up for a free trial, or you can just go and grab resources. But what I really hope that I've been for you is just useful, so that whatever direction you choose to take, you'll be able to take some learnings or principles from what I've shared with you and to be able to implement them, so that you can be more profitable with what you do, but also that you can impact your clients as well. I'm always interested in both those elements, because first and foremost, I'm a client, right? So I want to make sure you're doing well so that you can help your clients to do well as well.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you very much. So that just leaves me to say tomorrow morning at 9:30, we've got Practice Ignition. If you've not signed up for that, then just email me or find me on LinkedIn or wherever, and I'll gladly send you a link to register. And then on Thursday morning, we've got Steve Trister, who's going to be talking about how to run online meetings and webinars and the tech and whatnot behind it. And the invites for that will be out later this afternoon, fingers crossed. So thank you very much. Got lots of thank yous coming through. James, that's Peter, cool. And Vanessa is going to have a go on the trial as well. So it looks like we've made some progress today. So brilliant, James. Thank you very much. Cool. And I look forward to speaking to you soon.
Cheers. Thanks, Simon. All the best. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.